G'day folks, Chris McLean, peak performance and transformation coach, back again to wrap up this three-part series on friction. And today we're looking at systemic friction. Ooh, sounds exciting. So where this differs from the last types of friction, where we looked at adding and removing friction from a habit that you're trying to add to your life, or a negative behavior or habit that you're trying to remove from your life, this is systemic in that it's kind of baked into how we just operate. So it's also something you could call invisible or hidden friction, in that it's this sub-perceptual stuff that just kind of goes on in the background, and we're not as conscious of it as when we're consciously trying to add something or remove something from our life. This is stuff that generally is just frustrating, annoying. It's all the stuff that just kind of happens and annoys us and frustrates us, that we often don't even know why we're feeling annoyed and frustrated, because it's baked into just how we do stuff. So how this shows up, this is going to be stuff like tangled cables. Right? It's like putting your headphones away and then you get them out and they're all tangled and you've got to spend 5 minutes unknotting them just to put them on and use them. It shows up as having to set up your workspace every day. Maybe you're working from home now and you're kind of moving around the house every day. So you're in the kitchen one day, bedroom, living room, you're moving your office, moving your workspace around. And every time just to start work, you've got to set up your laptop, you've got to find a PowerPoint, you've got to plug everything in, you've got to find somewhere to put your mouse, you've got to get your seat comfortable, you've got to set up, and you're spending time and you're burning attention, you're burning energy and attention just to get started with something. And that's really what this is. This is what systemic friction does. It stops us from getting really focused and driving attention, just dropping into the thing we're doing. And it builds these subtle little layers, and it just layers on top, layers and layers and layers of layers of just kind of being annoyed and just being frustrated. And it's enough, so if you start trying to start your workday every day and you got to plug everything in, and it's a bit annoying. You got to find a thing, you got to find the PowerPoint, then you got to plug your mouse in, you got to get everything set. That 5 or so minutes of just being a little bit frustrated is just enough to tweak your mood a bit, so that when you're dropping into work, you're just a bit more frustrated, a bit more on edge, a bit less hyper-focused, positive than you would have been if you just sat down at your desk and got straight into your work. So this stuff's pretty subtle. It's really, really subtle stuff, but when it happens a lot, and this is why, again, it's systemic, it's stuff that there's lots of these little things that tend to stack up during the day. This is stuff like you're going to get in the car and you're going to drive somewhere, like, where are the keys? Where did I put them? What jacket was I wearing? What bag was I carrying? And then you spend the next 5 minutes just to leave the house. You're spending time and burning energy and attention just trying to find the car keys, or trying to find your house keys, or trying to find your wallet, right? All this stuff that if you just put it in the same place every time, you wouldn't have all these little bits of frustration adding up. And a lot of the time we don't see this as a problem. As I said, it's sort of baked into the DNA of our days. We just do it because that's just what we're used to doing. But it's actually adding all these little bits of frustration and just knocking us out of state. Every time these things happen, is knocking us out of state, right? We're not paying attention to the things we want to pay attention to, and it's burning energy, it's burning attention, it's drifting us away from the stuff that we want to get really focused on, which is our work, our habits, the stuff we want to do, the important work we want to get done every day. And if we're, instead of focusing on that, we're focusing on finding the keys or untangling cables or plugging our laptop in, we get annoyed instead. We get distracted. We're drawing attention and energy away from the stuff that's actually useful for driving a high performance day. So this is where this stuff starts to stack up, is it builds these little layers of energy, takes energy away from the stuff that we want to be focused on. It's drawing our attention away, it's distracting us from the stuff that we actually want to get done during the day. So when you start to look at this stuff, now that you kind of know a bit of what to look at. If you start to look at your average day and just find these little bits of things where, plugging cables in, phone chargers is another one, right? Whether it's your office or your house, your phone dies, you're like, oh no, I got to go find I don't have a charger, now I got to go find one. Easy solve, put a charger in every room that you're going to be in. If your phone dies, you've got a charger right there. Headphones, right? The solve for cables, either wrap them up nicely and prepare them for the next use beforehand, or get wireless ones. So you don't have the problem of cables and wires and all that stuff. Get some wireless ones that make it easy. You're cutting out that attention deficit that comes with having to do that every time. With working from home, working from your office, try and set up your workspace in one place. And you go to that place every day and you work in, everything's set up, it's all plugged in. You just switch it on and you drop into work. No faffing around, no plugging things in, working out, having to decide, where am I going to work from today, right? Even just that decision, having to make decisions and think, that's energy that we could be using on just getting into our work and getting stuff done. Keys, wallet, phone, put them in the same place every day, right? Here's the keys, I get home, I put the keys in that jar, in that place, and when I leave, that's where they are. I grab them and off I go. I'm not burning energy and attention, having to think about, right, where are they, and then finding them and actually losing time trying to find stuff, having to untangle stuff, having to do all this unnecessary stuff that just is annoying, it's frustrating, it's going to knock me out of state, and it's just going to make me feel a bit than I really need to be. I don't need to feel like that. If I was just paid a bit more attention, set things up the right way in the first place, and then I'm knocking out a lot of this systemic friction, these systemic annoyances that happen during our days. So that's systemic friction. Can be hard to identify, but hopefully you've got a couple of ideas of kind of what this looks like, and you can start to look at your average day and kind of work out where you're distracting yourself, where your energy is being pulled away, where your attention's being dragged away by just silly little stuff. But silly little stuff, when there's lots of it every day, it adds up, and it can be really distracting, and it certainly pulls us out from having the most optimized high performance day that we can have. So it's important stuff to get done and get sorted. So that's it. That's the friction series wrapped up. So hopefully now you've got some really good ways to either add friction into things that you don't want to do, to remove friction by lubricating the process for things that you do want to do, habits you want to add, positive changes that you want to make. And you're starting to look through your average day and remove all these little annoyances, remove all these little bits of systemic invisible friction, again, to lubricate your life and just make everything work easier. Make sure that the things that you want to do, you're able just to get in and drop in and get those things done, not have to faff around and burn energy and attention on kind of annoying stuff and getting yourself built up and frustrated and knocked out of state, knocked down into a lower vibrational energy. So I hope that's been interesting. I hope you got some great tips. And if you have liked this, I'll be back with more of this kind of stuff. But if you've enjoyed this series and you run an agency, you work in an agency, you're interested in agency, please come and join our Facebook group. I've got a Facebook group all around peak performance and flow hacking, specifically for agency owners and agency professionals. Love you to come and join me. I'll drop the link to that down in the comments. Come join us. It's all this type of content and working, really taking this stuff and leveraging these types of habit optimization, peak performance protocols, and building them into the fabric of your agency. So again, your agency becomes much more higher performing because you are performing at your peak every day. You're feeling great and you're feeling your best and doing your best work day in, day out. And when you're focused, you're operating at your peak, your agency is going to uplift as well. So if that's interesting, love to see you over in the Facebook group. I'll be dropping more of this content often. So if you've enjoyed it, stay tuned. I'll be dropping some more soon. Look forward to seeing you guys out there soon. And thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.